Have you ever had two queens by move 27? Well, in this game, Magnus Carlsen achieved just that in Game 9 of his 2013 World Chess Championship match against Vishwanathan Anand. Join us for an absolute masterpiece. Magnus had the black pieces and the game begins with d4, knight f6, c4, e6, knight c3 and bishop b4, the Nimzo Indian defense. Vishy chooses the f3 variation and the idea is to play e4. d5 from Magnus, controlling the e4 square, and then a3 from white, getting rid of the dark square bishop. Bishop takes c3 check, b takes c3 and then c5, gaining space and striking back in the center. White takes on d5 and black recaptures. The idea is that now black cannot take on d4 as he will be left with a weak, isolated pawn. This capture also prevents black from waiting for white to develop his bishop to d3 and then take on c4, gaining a tempo and getting rid of d5. e3 from white, solidifying the center and opening up the light square bishop. Here Magnus plays c4, controlling the d3 square and preventing bishop d3. c4 also controls the b3 square for a future knight maneuver. Knight e2, developing the knight and preparing g4 and bishop g2 to develop the bishop. Knight c6 from Magnus and g4 from Vishy. White is preparing a future kingside attack. Castles, bishop g2 and knight a5 controlling the b3 square. Castles from white, knight b3 and then rook a2. This is a common idea in Nimzo positions, especially if the second rank is free. White always has ideas of a rook lift to bring more attacking pieces to the king side. b5 from Magnus, expanding on the queen side. Magnus will expand on the queen side while Vishy expands on the king side. Knight g3, improving the knight and controlling e4. a5, g5 removing the defender of e4, knight e8 and then e4 expanding in the center. White has now opened the dark square bishop and would love to now move it to e3 or f4 where it will serve as a strong attacking piece. Because of the now created attacking potential of the dark square bishop and its ability to move to e3 and f4, Magnus decides to trade it off with knight takes c1. Queen takes c1 and rook a6 defending laterally and preparing to trade off the a2 rook. e5 restricting the black position and preparing the advance of the f-pawn. Knight c7 from black, defending the a6 rook in order to play b5. f4, b5, takes, rook takes a6 and knight takes a6. Magnus wanted to recapture with the knight in order to protect the b4 pawn and discourage white from taking on b4. After f5, black now has b3, and he now has a protected passed pawn which could cause white numerous problems if he isn't careful. Queen f4 from Vishy. He wants f6, g6 and then to rotate the queen and give checkmate. Magnus takes precautions against this attack with knight c7, f6, g6 and queen h4. Knight e8 defending g7 and queen h6 preparing an almost unstoppable rook lift. There is only one way to prevent this devastating attack. You can pause the video to try and find the move. In this position, Magnus played b2, preparing b1 queen. Here Vishy played a lovely move. It is extremely risky, but doesn't lose the game. Rook f4 allowing Magnus to queen his b-pawn and have two queens. The threat of rook h4 looks unstoppable, but Magnus finds a way. He plays b1 queen check, and now white can block with his bishop or his knight. You can pause to decide which piece you would block with. Blocking with the bishop is the best move, but now you can try and find the only saving move for black. Here, black has to find queen d1 so that after rook h4, there is the incredible queen h5 resource. After knight takes, pawn takes, and rook takes, there is bishop f5 defending. Ultimately, this position is drawn according to the engine as white's attack will continue, but black will be able to get a perpetual and draw the game. In the game though, Vishy blundered with knight f1, and now Magnus played the beautiful queen e1. If white tries rook h4, then Magnus will just sacrifice the queen and will be up a rook with white having no more attacking possibilities. For this reason, Vishy resigned in this position, leaving Magnus victorious. If you enjoyed this content, then please hit the like and subscribe button, and then keep improving your chess. Now, go promote some pawns.